Welcome to Quit Chasing Squirrels, a 6 episode podcast miniseries on starting your passion projects when you have ADHD. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Barbara Hubbard, author of the book that inspired this entire series, Quit Chasing Squirrels, Start Chasing Your Dreams. I discovered Barbara when I was Googling activation coach and her site popped up. I saw the book, so I jumped over to Amazon and I bought the Kindle version. Within 10 minutes, I'd ordered the print version. My background, for those who don't know me, is that my friends and I pioneered a lot of the online bestseller book marketing tactics back in the early 2000s for celebrity experts, before the internet was really a thing. But let's get started. Barbara, before we dive into the heart of this series or these 5 challenges that you've outlined in your book as to why people don't start or quit chasing squirrels, I'd like to talk about what we mean by passion project. One of the things I know is that Dr. Dodson, I believe it is, talks about something called ICNUP, where that's the ADHD motivation. We're only motivated by these 5 things.
Ah,
It's
got it.
interest, a
Mm-hmm.
challenge or competition, novelty, something that's novel,
Mm-hmm.
urgency, or passion. And I know that there's a decision matrix that I've seen that helps people prioritize their tasks and projects. It's 4 squares. Are you familiar with that? The decision
Yeah, I
matrix?
believe the Eisenhower matrix.
Is that the Eisenhower matrix?
Mhm.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about. So I guess what we're talking about here are the projects that fall into the urgent, not important, right? Are those the
Yes,
ones that we're
so
talking about?
opposite, important but not urgent because we get the urgent stuff done.
Yeah.
Anything that comes our way that has a deadline or somebody's nagging us about, we're going to get that done. But I want you to get to the things that are not urgent but really important to you.
So those are the things that we're really passionate about. I noticed that a lot of us, a lot of the people that I talk to, and I'm talking about women because that's my sweet spot there, is we talk about them and we ideate about them and we say we want to do them, but we find it hard to get started on these projects.
Yeah.
It feels like the old thing for us with ADHD is we don't know where to start. So we start in the middle or something like that. But in your book, you talk about how through working with your clients, you noticed that there were 5 big reasons that women struggle and tend to put off their passion projects. Number one, they're too busy, being too busy, just busy being busy. They're too distracted. They're overwhelmed. They're unmotivated, or they're following advice that just doesn't work for them. And for women with ADHD or executive function challenges, they're not just occasional roadblocks, they're like their daily landscape.
Exactly.
So when you were writing the book, which of those barriers felt most personal to you? And how did you begin to break through, especially knowing that some of us just don't respond to traditional productivity systems?
Sure, sure. The one that hits home for me and is my typical reason why I don't get started on things is overwhelm. I am very easily overwhelmed. I'm a very sensitive person. I take on other people's energy, the feeling of the room kind of thing. And that overwhelms me sometimes. And I lead a busy life. At the time that I wrote the book, my kids were a little bit younger. So I had one still living at home and the other was in college. But we were driving around activities and sports and busy, busy, busy every weekend, every weeknight sometimes. So between being busy and being overwhelmed by the workload, the household workload, the expectations of family and other people in my life, those were things that held me back. And that's what I was seeing with many of my clients as well. Yeah.
So, how did you finally overcome the overwhelm, or did you identify it at that time that you knew you were overwhelmed? You'd already had your framework, maybe?
Yeah, I didn't have the framework. I just knew that that was something I struggled with, and I had struggled with it my whole life. I also saw it with other people. I would see, oh, yeah, she's overwhelmed too. Oh, yep, she's overwhelmed. I do see people who they're just distracted. they're not necessarily overwhelmed. They're just distracted. They just go into a room to work on something, and then I don't know, there's a noise in the other room and they go to check that out, or there's a notification on their phone and they go to, right? And suddenly they're not doing what they intended to do. That's just distraction, and that happens.
I do that with YouTube videos. I'll start watching one and they're not talking fast enough or it's not holding my attention
Yeah.
and I just
Yeah.
wander off while it's
Yeah.
still playing.
I don't tend to see that as often in the people that I encounter. Another one that I identified is the unmotivated. You're just not
Mm,
motivated. I see that a lot. And it's interesting. I was very motivated to write the book. It still took me 2.5 years.
wow.
And that was what I really wanted to get at, is how can I and other people I'm talking to, how can we have these projects that we are very motivated to do? And yet, when we sit down in that moment, it's like the motivation disappears. Like, nope, I don't really want to do this. I would really rather do something easier. I would really rather do something more fun. I'd really rather do something, all those that you mentioned earlier.
The one that I think that I see a lot of, or I used to see a lot of because I spent 10 years in the success industry, personal development. It was the following advice that just doesn't work for them.
I see that a lot too.
Like eat that frog. I
Mhm.
was gung ho about eating those frogs until I actually tried to eat them.
Yeah, yeah.
And it sounds good. Do the
Mhm.
most hardest thing you got to do first thing and get it
Yeah.
over with. But for our brains, that just doesn't work most of the time.
There's a lot of advice out there. There's a lot of quote unquote experts out there who put out good material. They have good ideas. I don't want to discount that. The problem,
The productivity advice they give, if you're neurotypical, it works
yeah,
fine.
exactly. The problem is that those of us who are not neurotypical, right? We're neurodivergent. Our brains aren't necessarily going to grasp that and work with
We're
that.
not going to write the goals down 10 times every
We're
day.
not. No, we're not. And then we think that because it doesn't work for us, there's something wrong with us.
Right.
Instead of going to, well, maybe that suggestion isn't right for me, I go to, well, there must be something wrong with me, right? It works
I
for,
just laugh at it. I just think I might do it for 2 days, but then distraction kicks in or something else
okay. Yeah,
happens
yeah,
and I
yeah,
forget. I
yeah,
honestly
yeah.
just forget
Yeah.
most of the time. My brain just forgets.
I,
Um,
I, I encounter a lot of people who they take it very personally. They will tell me, I have read all the books and tried all the things and it's not working. And so there must be something wrong with me. And one of the reasons for the book and one of my own personal missions is to help people understand you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. We just got to find the strategy that works for
and what's cool about your book is there's 50 of them.
exactly.
So speaking of that, what I found especially powerful in the book was the 4 hacks or the tools that you offer
Mhm.
to start to quit chasing the squirrels,
Yeah,
right? So accountability, energy, clarity, and mindset. And for somebody with an ADHD brain, those areas can be make or break. Those will make or break you.
absolutely.
And so what I was interested in is how these tools evolved. Can you walk me
Mm,
through how they
sure,
evolved? Like what
sure.
were you seeing in these struggles that led you to realize these were keys to getting unstuck? And for me, I want to start with clarity. I took your assessment and
Mhm.
I already know that's my default. Even though when I took your test to see where I was blocked, for me, it's always clarity. There's clarity and
Mhm,
then
mhm,
accountability. I've already
mhm,
got the
mhm. Yep,
mindset, I've
yep,
already got the
yeah,
energy.
those are mine as well, my 2.
But the
Yeah,
clarity, if I'm not
yeah,
clear, I realized through reading your book that I'm not going to start, period,
yeah,
because it
yeah,
doesn't make sense.
yeah. Let me say first that the little quiz, the assessment that you just mentioned is on my website and it's free. So
Okay.
for anybody
Yes.
listening, go to that and check that out. The 4 categories of hacks really I didn't set out to say, I think we need some accountability hacks. I think we need some energy. It didn't happen that way. I just had this giant list And the more I thought
Mm.
about it, oh, these kind of fit into some categories here. But clarity, that one is probably the one that I encounter the most. Those are the suggestions I give out the most because the ADHD brain is all over the place, right? I experienced this myself, and it goes hand in hand with the overwhelm. So I have
Yes.
a project I want to do. It probably has multiple steps. It might not be due for weeks and or months, and so there's no urgency around it. And suddenly I'm overthinking it. I'm wondering where to start. And you said this earlier. I like to jump in the middle, right? I want to jump in. Well, if you jump in the middle, all of a sudden you're really confused because what
Right.
am I
You're really
doing?
overwhelmed.
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot the beginning steps. So you
Right.
feel like you're spinning in circles a bit. And that is the experience for so many people. The problem is then they won't get started.
Right.
So if that's been your experience, as it has for me, probably for you too, for so many years, then you get to something that is really important to you, your passion project, and it's too important to mess it up. And so if you don't have clarity on where to start, you're just not starting.
That's the thing. I realized when I had learned that I had this ADHD, but before I had medication, before I got medicated, because I didn't even know for 3 years that it was even possible.
Right.
And I kept telling my girlfriend that I wanted a system. I just wanted a system that would tell me where to start and where to
Mhm.
finish and the
Mhm.
processes in that. And I kept trying to give it to myself, but I would get overwhelmed because
Mhm.
then I would get in the weeds
Yeah.
and I would just be spinning my wheels in the weeds, trying
Mhm.
to give myself a step-by-step process that for some reason I couldn't get it done. And so it was
Mhm.
really frustrating. But
Yeah.
she even noticed, she's like, you just seem to want a system. I'm like, yes, that's what I want. I want a system.
Yeah, system.
And I don't want to have to do it myself, even though I'm a systems analyst, I'm a continuous improvement analyst. I can look at somebody else's system
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
already exists
yeah.
and figure out what to do. I can figure out, I think the thing that really frustrates me and maybe a lot of other people is that the first thing somebody will say, well, chunk it down, but we're not good at that either.
We're not. We're
We
not.
don't know the chunks.
Yeah.
We
And
take a chunk and it's a whole bunch of steps.
exactly, exactly.
So
Yeah.
just for me, thinking about just one step, just take the first step. Well, what's that first step? You know what I mean? It's kind of
Mhm.
crazy. Tell me more about accountability, because that one seems to work too.
That's a
That
big
one, I
one.
realized, even though I hate it, accountability for me, if I tell you that I'm going to do something,
You're
then
gonna
I'm
get
obligated because
yes.
I feel like crap if I don't do it.
Yeah, accountability sometimes gets a bad rap. People don't like being held accountable. They don't like it for a couple reasons. One, they don't like being held accountable because then they got to do what they said they were going to do.
And it could be scary.
It could be scary. It could be really boring, and they just don't want to, right?
If it's a
Um,
passion project, though, I know there are going to be some
right,
boring
right,
pieces,
yeah. So it
right?
depends
But
on
we see the beginning and we see the end,
yeah, yeah,
but there's a
yeah.
bunch of stuff in the
There
middle.
are. But even with the passion project, there's boring parts that you probably
Yeah,
have to do with
I
it,
agree.
and
I
that's
agree.
where accountability can be helpful. The other reason people sometimes don't like accountability is they feel like they shouldn't need it.
What
And
is accountability?
uh,
Let's define that.
yeah,
Meaning telling
good
somebody
idea.
else you're going to
Yeah,
do something
yeah,
or telling yourself,
yeah.
holding yourself to a deadline, like
I
just,
think it's either. Accountability is the act of holding yourself to the task, right? I'm going to get this done. And it can be for some people all about yourself. I am going to hold myself accountable. I don't find that works for many people, ADHD or not, right? Most people have trouble
yeah, I would agree.
saying, like, I am going to do X by this date and get it done. Most people struggle with that. So,
Yeah.
usually, accountability involves somebody else in your life.
Okay.
And it can be as simple as I'm going to ask a friend of mine to check in with me by the end of the week and ask if I've gotten this done. But
Mhm.
we don't like to bug people. We don't like to ask for help. So there's lots of ways that you can set up that accountability for yourself without bothering other people, without
Right.
making them call you on Friday.
For me, the best way is the way that you do it with a text.
Yes,
That
yeah,
works well. That works
yeah.
really well.
I like to text people because it gives you a little leeway too. When I
Mhm.
text you, you can respond right away. You can respond in 3 hours. Right?
Right, but it just juggles
Yeah.
the mind. That's what I
Mhm,
like about it.
mhm. Yeah.
Energy,
Yeah.
what define what it means? How are people stuck with
Yeah.
energetic things?
So, what I mean by that in the book, because you're right, there's more than one way to interpret energy. I'm talking about generally physical energy. Like, I
Okay.
am just feeling drained. Sometimes it's mental energy, right? Sometimes it's just been a long day. And if you're working on your passion project on the side and you've worked a long day at work or you've been taking care of kids all day, and then you sit down to do it, your body might not be tired yet, but your brain might be.
Hmm.
But I'm talking about when you just are feeling so drained that you don't have the energy to think about this project or to get started.
You know what? That's true. I've heard people literally say, I don't have the energy for that.
Right? We all have a certain bandwidth, right?
Right.
And it grows and it shrinks depending on what's going on in our life. So you could compare this definition of energy to your bandwidth. Do you have the bandwidth or not? Sometimes you don't.
There's a test called the Colby Index,
I don't know that.
and the Colby measures the ergs of energy you have available to you in certain they call them MOs.
Okay.
And so for my MO,
Yeah.
I only have 2 ergs of energy available to me for
Ah.
implementation of things.
So
That's
you
it.
have to decide, all right, am I
I
going to
have to
work on
decide
this
whether
or
I
this?
to use them on this. And what I've become very present to is that sometimes I don't mean to use it up, but I use it up on tasks that don't even make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, let me clean up, like I need to say I need to work on this book, right? That I'm writing.
Mhm.
It doesn't make sense for me to start to try to make sense of a pile of papers that I have that's not important, but I'll get distracted by it. I'll start on it without thinking you're going to take your energy. Like it
Right,
really,
right.
it's
Yeah,
almost like you have to guard it
you
with
do.
your
You
life.
do. And
And I
that
don't think we have a
people
lot
that
of that. I think a lot of us don't have a lot of ergs of energy for doing.
I agree. I was just going to say, people that tend to come to me for support are people who are truly very busy in their lives. They don't have the extra bandwidth, the extra energy. They are people who, many of them are moms and they are working moms. So they are working full days for someone else. And then they are coming home and taking care of their family. By the time you get to 8 p.m. and you've got your kids in bed, you don't have much energy
All
left.
you want to do is sit and doom scroll.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm talking about with energy is some people need a quick energy boost. By that I mean 5 minutes of moving their body around to clear and raise the vibe. Other times you got to focus on long-term healthy habits, right? So eating better, getting enough sleep, getting some
Really
movement
does
in,
work.
right? It does. And nobody wants to find out. Everybody knows that they're struggling with energy. So they're not going to be excited to find out that that's the one they really need to focus on. But if you take the quiz that I've developed and you find out, yep, it's energy, that's the one, it, at least now you have some ideas of where to start with that and you can chip away at it and make progress with that.
Moving on to mindset. That's
Yeah.
my favorite. I love mindset work. I love mindset material. I'll listen to mindset. I worked in that industry for 10 years.
Mhm.
And honestly, it feels like that might be the most important key
Yeah.
is the mindset that you
Yeah.
have about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
Right.
letting yourself get frustrated about it. Just putting yourself in the mindset that I'm going to do this. I can get this done.
Well, and not only that you are going to do it, but that you can. You are
Is that what that means?
Yeah, it's both, right? But I talk about if you believe that you can do something, then you probably can. If you don't believe you can do it, then you won't.
Mhm.
Can't, but you won't. You're
It's
not.
not rocket
Right.
science.
I think that mindset is the most important of them all. I think that mindset, these are the things that we have to work on all life long. We need to keep circling back to I can do this. I am capable of doing this. I'm worthy of this. There are wonderful things happening all around me. I need to start noticing them. All of that stuff is part of your mindset and that thought that, yep, I can do this, even with very little time. I can
Right.
do this.
What time? We have issues. We all know that people with ADHD have time blindness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, what made me start to write this book, finally, to start, because I've been talking about it, thinking about it, messing with it,
Yeah.
going back and forth with it. Finally, I just sat down and did it. I
Yeah.
just said, just start. Just
Yeah.
start with an introduction, okay? Just start with that.
Yeah.
And I just think that sometimes we don't know or recognize the barrier that's holding us back
Mhm.
because we've normalized it. It's become normal.
Sure. Yeah.
And time-wise, you can get so much done in an hour.
You
You
can.
can get a lot done in 15 minutes.
You can.
And I think we make it bigger in our minds that
Mhm.
we need this.
Mhm.
We're going to sit with this 8 hour block of time, and it's going to be the
Yeah.
ideal situation. We're not
Yeah.
going to have any interruptions, no distractions. We've got everything we need, and we're just going to sit and we're going to work for 8 hours. Like,
Yeah.
that is so unrealistic.
It is, right? There's perfection creeping in there too.
Yes,
Perfect
that's
time,
it.
right? But the timeline,
It's that whole when I have X, I'll be able to do Y.
yes, yeah, yeah.
And
But
we're the masters of that.
we
We
are,
mastered
yeah,
that.
yeah.
We are
The
the best at it.
the time blindness, though, it is really hard to find the perfect amount of time when you are time blind and you really have no way of estimating the time, right?
Well, I
Like,
think that's the other piece is I know I'm not good at figuring out how much time it's going to take, but I also know that I've spent an inordinate, unreasonable amount of time telling myself, well, I don't know how long it's going to take when I could just
but
give,
you can
like,
just start.
here's what somebody said to me. It might have been you, was that pick an arbitrary time.
Yep.
Just give
It might have
yourself
been me.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to take me 15 minutes. It
Yeah.
might take an hour,
But
but
you're not going to
don't
know
get hung
until you
up.
start. Yeah.
Don't get hung up on
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah. 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 I think it's just a cruel twist of irony that we cannot estimate time. We don't know how long it's going to take. We think it's going to take too long or we don't have enough time,
It's too
right?
long.
There's all of that. And at the same time, we're waiting for the perfect time.
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
fit
We're waiting
together.
for it to just
Yeah.
open the door and waltz in, and it's
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, like that's not going to happen. And as soon as we admit to ourselves, all right, I have no business trying to figure out how long this is going to take. I just should sit down and start. That's what we need to do.
There's a tool called Goblin Tools. I don't know if you know
Mhm.
about it,
I
but
do.
it
Yeah.
really freed me up from the task of trying to estimate tasks.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
giving it a task, it'll break it up for me. And I can look at it and decide whether it makes sense or not. And it's free. It's so freeing.
Yeah.
Of the 5 barriers that we talked about up
Mhm.
front, too busy, too distracted, overwhelmed, unmotivated, or following the wrong advice, which one do you think is the most overlooked, especially for women with ADHD?
Hmm. Oh, that is a really tough question. I think the one most overlooked is the following the wrong advice. I think women know
Mm.
that they're busy, they know they're distracted, they know they're overwhelmed, they know they don't have motivation. They have the sense of that those things are going on in their life. But women don't always believe that they're following the wrong advice or that that's even a concern, right? They just
Okay.
follow the advice and they assume it should work and get frustrated when it doesn't. And so I think that's the most overlooked. And I think it's the one that we kind of need to stop and say to ourselves, like, oh, should I be following that advice? Is that advice for me or not? Right?
Why do you think that one holds so many of us back, even if they want to move forward?
Because we love for somebody to give us a plan, give us a script. Even me, like I say, here I am, I'm giving you 50 different hacks. People love to have that lined out for them. Like, here you go.
Going back to the example I gave you, the eat that frog, it's something that I would have never thought was the wrong advice because
Exactly. Yeah.
there's all these productivity books out there that have been written by men
Yeah.
and that work for them.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
necessarily work for us.
Exactly. They don't. And when I have to tell you this funny story, when I was writing this section of the book, I was working with a book coach. It is the hack of hiring support for yourself. I had to
Mhm.
have somebody holding me accountable each week to get stuff done. But for 3 weeks in a row, she kept going back to that and saying, you got to tone it down. Barb, it's still, you got to tone it down. You cannot be railing on all these experts. And I have thought about that a lot since. I get very angry with these experts who try to say, this is the way. Sometimes they do
Right.
say it that way. This is the way. And if you follow this protocol, these steps, this whatever, then you will be successful. And so I toned that way down in the book. But when I talk about it with people like you today, I think it all worked up about it again.
I spent time in the room with some of the most well-known productivity experts on the planet.
Mhm.
And I literally watched people empty their wallets, run their credit cards up, buying these things that did exactly what you said, which is
Mhm.
you do it like this, you will
Mhm.
succeed. You
Yeah.
follow the steps, but you never really understand. Like being at the seminar was a high
Yeah.
for people. It was a
Yeah.
high. The
Yeah.
back of the room rush to buy the
Mhm.
products, you get them home, and now it's not self-help, it's shelf help. That's what we
I
called it.
love that. Yeah.
Shelf
Yeah.
help, because now it's
Yeah.
sitting on your shelf,
Yeah.
never to be opened, cracked open,
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
because that's the hard part.
Yeah. Exactly.
And even if you buy the coaching program with, now you showing up on a call with hundreds of other people sometimes,
Mhm.
and that's why I'm such a skeptic and I won't usually join programs anymore
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Me too.
one of two things is going to happen. It's going to be too slow for
Mhm.
me,
Mhm.
or I'm going to fall behind. Say
Mm.
there's 8 weeks. I'm going to fall behind. I'm
Mhm.
going to feel like I didn't do the first week. Now I got
Mhm.
the first
Ah.
and the second week. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So then it's, oh, well.
And
Oh,
they pick any one of the experts, anybody you have in mind. They're speaking to the masses, and their books are written for the general audience. It's not that their ideas are bad, and it's certainly not that they are bad people. They are great people who mean well, and most of them, right? They mean well, they want to help, they want to support, they have good ideas. The problem often is the way they say it. They make people feel like it, well, if it doesn't work for you, then there's something wrong with you.
something's wrong with you.
And that's not the case. What we need to do always in any situation is pick and choose what works for us. Recognize that we have unique brains. My brain is different from your brain, right? Like we do things in different ways. And if we pick and choose the pieces that work for us and compile this box of choices, like, oh, I'll choose this one today and I'll choose that one tomorrow, it's so much nicer and easier and kinder to ourselves than trying to follow what they say.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful insight. It makes me want to challenge people to think a little differently about procrastination Because
Yeah.
what if it's not about laziness at all?
And it's not.
What
You know,
if it's an
yeah.
adaptive response trying to protect
Mhm.
us
Right.
from
Right.
something?
Yeah.
Either
Yeah.
we're not aligned with it, we're
Yeah.
overloaded, our sensories are overloaded. Now we've got decision fatigue. Like, how could
Hmm.
that might help us to reframe it? How might that help us reframe and move forward with more compassion for
Exactly.
ourselves?
Yeah. And procrastination it sometimes can be really helpful. I mean,
I
I'm not,
procrastinated a problem away
yeah.
until it wasn't a problem.
I mean, sometimes you really do need time to just sit with it for a bit, and there's processing going on in the back of your mind that you're not really aware of, and you can't get started in this moment because you need time to sit with it for a while.
Right. And you might start and figure out like you went down the total wrong path.
Yeah. I think procrastination gets a bad rap in general.
Yeah, it does.
So sometimes I like to talk about planning to procrastinate. Um,
Doing what?
planning to
Planning to procrastinate. Yes, planned procrastination. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, my brain does not start firing until something is due, right? Well,
Mm.
if I have a workshop that I'm gonna be giving on Thursday, Thursday 3 weeks from now, I can't plan what I'm gonna say now. That's 3 weeks away. And when I decided to stop beating myself up over that inability to plan early and set aside time the week of, right? So Tuesday, Wednesday, a couple days before, if I plan that, I'm just going to plan to procrastinate on this. Day before, I set aside a big chunk of time and make sure that that doesn't get loaded with other appointments. My
Mm.
brain starts firing and I'm all in. I get it done in half the time.
That's true. That's true. If like mine doesn't fire either until it's due.
I cannot.
I usually I can't manufacture urgency for me.
Right,
Like
right. It's
it's
hard.
very
It's
hard for
hard.
me to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I
Me too.
can, but it's
Yeah.
super hard.
Yeah, that's true for anyone with ADHD because part of that ADHD brain is needing that urgency, needing novelty, passion, right? All those are the things that get us fired up.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have that until the deadline, then wait until the deadline, then get it done. But I will say it does not work if you have 10 other things to do at the same time, right?
Or if something comes up.
Right. So you really have to plan it, like truly plan it, if you're going to make that.
Yeah, if you're gonna go that route.
Yeah.
But for a lot of us, especially with ADHD, the line between things I want to do and things I feel like I should do gets
Mm-hmm.
blurry.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, what happens when we finally stop chasing the shoulds and start following real interest?
Mm-hmm. I think what happens is we enjoy life more. We are kinder to ourselves when we're not chasing the shoulds.
I
And
know there was a phrase they used to say when I was working in healthcare in organizational development. They would say, nobody likes to be should upon.
I've heard that too, right? I think shoulds get in the way all the time. I know for me, that's part of my overthinking is I should be doing this and not that, or I shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that wasn't the way to do it. I think that there is a lot of power in leaning into your interests and your gut and what your body and your heart is telling you to focus on. I think there's a lot of power in that. The problem is that I think people run into is ADHD brains like to be all or nothing.
Oh my God, that's so true.
And you can't be all in to just your interests. There are other things that need to be done. Like we got to eat, got to get
Yeah.
groceries, we got to have clean clothes. There's always going to be, but in general, we could lean into our interests more. And I believe
Sometimes people don't even know what their interests are.
true, true. I was just on a call last night and I asked the group, there was about 6 different women on the call, and I said, tell me something you really want to do, but you've been avoiding it. And only one of the 6 women could come up with
Could
anything.
come up with an answer, huh?
And I told him, I said, it's something you need to sit with for a while. I guarantee there's something underneath there that you've just put blinders on because you don't want to look at it because you haven't gotten to it. And it's
Sometimes
hard.
our brains literally just go into no man's land.
You sure?
Like I've had people say, write 10 goals down, and I couldn't give you 10 goals at that point. I'm like, I don't know what the hell. I have no idea what my
Yeah,
goals are,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, but I have them.
yeah, yeah,
But it's just in
exactly.
the moment,
Yeah,
brain is farting and it's
mm,
just gone blank about
yeah.
them.
I have
So
women.
talk about that dream project that lives in the land of important but not urgent. No deadline, no accountability, just something that matters to us. How do
Mhm.
we give that project the space and structure it deserves?
The first thing we need to do is identify what it is. Like
Okay.
we were just talking about, it truly needs to be a passion of yours. You can't
Hmm.
just randomly grab, oh, I feel like writing a book. You really got to want it, whatever
Right.
it is.
Exactly. Listen, I started in 2004 with marketing books,
Yeah.
and I marketed the hell out of books through 2012, probably,
Mhm.
even beyond that. And I always said to myself that I would never write a book because there was no way I was going to write a book because I didn't think I could sit still that long. Like, it was just like, there's no way I'm ever going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm never going to do this. But here I am.
Yeah.
And I think that what I had to tell myself was every single day, I'm going to work on an aspect of this, some aspect of it.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
Because for me, that once a week isn't going to work. No,
mhm,
I need to do something every single day to remind myself that this is what I said I wanted to do.
mhm. Yeah. So tell me, if that passion lessened and you were like, you know what, I've gotten the draft out of my head and now I'm done, would you be okay with that or would you
No,
push yourself
mm-mm,
to,
mm-mm.
yeah, okay.
No, because I feel like the content or the information that it's containing, it's part memoir and part manifesto.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
it's for all
So
the
the
twice
passion is around
the
now
passion,
other
it's the
people.
passion
Yeah.
is getting this out
Yes.
there
Yeah.
so somebody can read it and see themselves in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's driving me now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I didn't have that before.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I didn't
Right.
have what it, what it was, what is it going to be about? But once I
Yeah.
really said, I want it to be about this, and I
Mm-hmm.
started looking at all the
Sharing it.
books that
Yeah.
existed out there that had
Mm-hmm.
nothing in them about that,
Yeah.
then that's what pulled that. I'm interested in it. It's
Exactly.
interesting
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the first step is figuring out what are you passionate about? What,
Hmm.
and not everybody has that. I think most people do, and sometimes it gets buried in life and things that are going on in life. But
Yeah.
so once you have that though, once you have that spark of, oh, I really need to do this. And some really interesting things. Some people going back to school later in life,
Hmm.
some people starting a business,
Hmm.
some people jumping into nonprofit work.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're not starting it themselves, but they have such a passion for a group of people that they need to jump in and make more of that. It could be all kinds of different things. It could be for you, for your family, for other people in your life.
So making space for it first,
Yeah, once you
right?
have that, you
Making
need
space for it and
yes.
structure the way that I did the structure. Like I said, I don't care. I'm going to spend at least an hour
Mhm.
every day is what I told myself because I can find an hour.
So I like to ask people, there's two parts to this. One is, do you have an hour a day or do you have a couple hours a week?
Okay.
Because not everybody has the hour a day, right?
True.
And some people need to get into the flow. So asking them to spend 15
It
minutes
takes
a
us
day,
longer to
it
get
does.
into the flow, it
It
feels like.
does. Yeah, it does.
And I
And
never realized that before.
so if you only have 15 minutes and it takes you 12 of those minutes to get into the flow, then there's really no reason to do it. So I like to ask people to really look at their schedule. Maybe you have, instead of an hour a day, you have 2 hours every Sunday, right?
Okay.
Or 2 hours every Tuesday night, whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
because it doesn't matter whether it's once a week or once a day. The idea is find the time, find the space in your schedule. And then, though, it really does need to be every week, right?
So
Doing
schedule
it,
it in.
yeah, if you're only doing it once a month or once every other month, you're not going to keep up with it. But once a week is doable. Hire a babysitter, ask a friend to come over and watch your kids, tell your significant other that they're on their own for dinner once a week, right? Like whatever you need to do. And then you got to find the space where you are not going to be interrupted, the space where you feel like you can get into that flow. And for some people, that's at home. But for other people, they got to get out of their
Gotta
house.
leave. Yeah, agreed.
Coffee shops are a great spot, especially a lot of ADHDers like the background noise kind of.
That's true. Yes.
So coffee shops good. So I don't do well in that setting, but I like libraries where it's
Yes.
quieter. There's options either way. So you've got the time, you've made the time, you find your space, and then it's jumping in and doing something during that time that you've made. So write one sentence, make one phone call, draw one picture, whatever, just do a list get started.
So now we're going to wrap this up and we're going to give people a small but mighty action step for this week. And I think we came up with identify the one barrier that feels most real for you now, right now. Is it
Yeah.
distraction? Is it overwhelm? Is it mismatched advice? And then choose one of the 4 hacks to experiment with. Not all 4, just one, either accountability, energy, clarity, or mindset.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that feels right.
It does. And I think the one thing I want to say about that is it's not necessarily a direct match. So if you decide that you are overwhelmed, that does not mean that you should go right to clarity. That often works, but if it doesn't resonate with you, take a look at the other categories and see if one of the others would be a better fit for you.
Right. But I just want to really emphasize, especially because of the type of women that are probably going to be attracted to doing passion projects in the first place.
Yeah.
The magic isn't in doing everything perfectly.
Yes. Thank you.
It's finding what works with your brain because we are masters at masking with perfection. And like we talked about earlier, I'll
Yeah.
do it when I get those 2 hours that I can have to myself when you've never had 2 hours to yourself in years. Now
Right.
all of a sudden you're gonna go do it perfectly. I had a friend that used to say imperfect action beats perfect inaction every time.
So true. And I'm glad you brought that up because it's not going to be perfect. It's just not. And if we can embrace that imperfect action and try something.
Preaching to the choir. That's how I got those chapters done. When I started out, I decided that I wasn't going to censor myself because
Good.
I censor myself a lot and
Yeah.
I'll get stuck. I just said, you know what? I'm just going to power through these and then I'll go back. I'm just going to get it done. And that allowed me, because I have a perfectionism gene that is crazy. It'll sabotage me in a heartbeat.
It's not going to be perfect, especially right out of the gate. And you may find that you set aside Tuesday nights and Tuesday doesn't work and you got to switch it to something else. You may find that you thought you had an hour a day and you don't. You may find that you thought you were overwhelmed, but really you're just feeling unmotivated. So you really need to think of it as a trial and error or a journey where
There you go.
you're stepping into the first step. All right, I'm going to try this. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, then I'm going to take the next step over here. Right. It's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be a lot
Yes.
of zigzagging.
No, not hardly. I want to remind everybody that your book is available. It's on Amazon, it's on Kindle. If you're that person that just wants to have it right now, these
Yeah.
hacks are in there and they're really great. I want to give people a preview. The next time we're going to talk about the accountability hacks, which is creating urgency for your dreams and how
Yes,
to engineer urgency for important but not urgent tasks using accountability strategies.
exactly. Perfect.
All right. Thanks so much. This is
Yeah,
going to be
thank
useful.
you. It is. You know how many passion projects are going to get out into the world because we're having this conversation?
Yes, mine, my own. I'm using this for me.
I love it. Thank you.